Welcome back to the Author's Edge. I am your host, Allison Lane, and I'm so glad you're here and investing in yourself because if you don't, no one's going to for you. Today, we're talking about what it looks like to outgrow the life and the job that once defined you. As someone who led corporate big brand marketing for 2.5 decades, you can do the math, it's 25 years. Was that person who was like, that is me. And that is who I am, especially leading media relations for Pepsi and PR for Unilever. That was what I thought I was. And then you get this feeling and you can't quite name it that you're like, what if I climbed this mountain and you realize that's not the view I want? That's why I'm so glad that joining me today is JJ Flizanes, transformational coach, speaker, host of so many podcasts, and helping women break free from the invisible patterns that keep us stuck, even after we've already achieved success. Because as high achievers, we achieve and then we're like, well, then what's next? Or you think the destination that I strove so hard to get to, I should be happy with that. But we're high achievers. We're addicted to the achieving. So if that's you, I want you to know, even before we get started, that JJ and I are going to be hosting a mastermind that goes deeper into why so many brilliant women stay invisible, even after we've climbed that mountain. So that's coming up on Friday, April 10th. And you can grab the free VIP ticket using the code Allison free, all in caps. The link is in the show notes. Get that. So JJ, I'm so glad to have you here. This is such a powerful topic. And I think a lot of women in particular are quietly experiencing this lament right now, and they don't really have language for it. And sometimes they say, I think I'm burnt out, but maybe it's not that. What is it that you see high achieving women doing? And what is this mistake when they start to outgrow the very life that they strove so hard to achieve?
Well, first of all, thank you, Allison, for having me. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation, and even more excited to do our masterclass on April 10th. I want to sort of tell the audience, because I'm going to be sharing this on my shows as well, a little bit about how we met. I was speaking at PodFest, and so were you, in January in Orlando, and you attended my session, and you were like, oh my God, that was amazing, and my people need help. I've run across so many women who are experiencing this, and it stops them from putting themselves out there and becoming more visible and really living their zone of genius. What can we do about it?
I came in for your talk. It was after I spoke, and you were surrounded by women. I just stood there going, we have to connect because there's this like self-imposed challenge that I observe. I know I want more, but I'm not sure what that path is. So I guess I won't take a step kind of thing. What you do to help people figure it out so that they can move forward is so critical and important. I will work with you if you are ready to party. But if you're not ready, JJ is for you because I'm ready for action. It's so important for you to figure out what's in your way. And sometimes there aren't words for that.
You were looking at it from the point of view of, I have people that are coming to me that want to grow in their profession or in their business or in their visibility, but they're blocked. And I'm not quite sure. Again, you can call it mindset. It's really not mindset. I
Yeah.
actually really don't like that word because mindset makes it sound like it's really easy just to think something different. It doesn't take into
Right.
consideration you have 88% of your subconscious brain with beliefs that you don't even maybe know what they are, that are feeding you information all day long. And you're just going to override it by white knuckling it and saying, oh no, but I'm going to try to think differently. But yet your entire body and subconscious are believing something to the opposite of what you're trying to make yourself do. So to me, it's more of a healing conversation. But in business or within visibility or within women, when you are ready to press go and put yourself out there, in my opinion, You have to understand to be successful and sustainable, because that's really the key, right? You want to be sustainable in what you're doing. The ones that succeed are the ones that have staying power because there's something motivating you and directing you. It's your purpose, it's your passion, it's your dharma. And if you don't know what that is, then things you've done up until now may have been a result of compensation for a wound. Like all the high achieving women, and this is not a judgment because I'm one of them, you might be performing for love. Maybe you grew up in a household that said, in order to get attention, you've got to get straight A's. You got to achieve. You got to show people that you're valuable by making money, by creating things. And that's the only way you're going to get love and attention. And at some point, as you get older, that wears off because it's not rooted in what is truly your zone of genius, what your passion, purpose, dharma, whatever you think you're here in this lifetime to do or to be or to have or to share. If you're not clear about that, then we're just taking a lot of action that feels empty. What's the goal here? Get a lot of followers? Okay, then what? Get a lot of money? Okay, then what? As we get older, especially as women, we come into the queen stage, which is kind of where you and I are right now. We're at the
That's
beginning of
right.
that queen stage, but there's sort of a late princess stage, right? And that late princess stage is really where people start to question, what have I been doing this whole time?
Right.
When I was younger, I would notice that certain gay men would come out in their 60s. And it was because in their king stage, they decided, I've been living my entire life for someone else. It's time for me to live my life for me. Because now I'm aware of my potential death and I can see here's how much time I have left and I'm not going to F around anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's
Mhm.
almost like we are so programmed to do for others instead of ourselves, where whether to get their attention, to get their respect, to get their love, or to nurture or care for others at our expense. And we do it for so long until we get to our queen stage, which says, no, I'm done. I'm done. I am done doing it for others. This is now about me and it's my turn. It's my turn to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. And that shifts everything for everyone. So I think what happens is in these stages of development, we start asking different questions. We see that what we've done in the past might be temporarily successful monetarily, but maybe not emotionally. Maybe we're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And it's an empty feeling. It's not like I'm building something that I am so proud of that feeds me for the rest of my life, because also we shift and we grow. You start to uncover deeper truths. You start to uncover like the root of things and what's really important in life.
Let's talk about what this moment looks like in real life. How does a woman know that she's currently outgrowing her current life or career and maybe hasn't admitted it yet, hasn't realized it yet, but she feels a melancholy because we're taught to look for permission for the next thing from someone else.
Mm.
From the time you're in kindergarten, you can't go to first grade unless someone gives you the thumbs up. And suddenly you're an adult. And then as a high achieving person, you go all the way to the top. And then what?
Mhm.
And then what's supposed to happen? And that's when people usually come to me. I had a client say to me recently, I have accomplished everything I can accomplish. I have uh, collected all the accolades. And now I'm looking at what's next and realizing I have at least 10, maybe 20 years, and I don't want this to be it. So I need help figuring out what it is, and I want it to not feel like a 17th job.
Yeah.
So let's just give people some clues. If this is happening to you, then you are standing in the way of your brilliance. Okay, JJ, lay it out for us.
You asked what are some of the indicators, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety.
Okay.
Okay. And let's look at addiction for a second because most people think they don't have an addiction. Workaholism is an addiction.
Yeah.
Overachieving is an addiction. We all have addictions. So just put that aside. You have an addiction. So know what it is. The soft addiction I think most people have, especially high achieving women, is control. We have control issues. But it could be addicted to the way that you look, addicted to your story, addicted to getting the next prize, right? Like you're collecting degrees, you're collecting certifications, you're collecting accolades and prizes and things like that. So I had a client years ago, and the story that she told was that what her goal was to stop drinking so much. She didn't want to come home every night and drink several glasses of wine. And she wanted to lose weight because she was overeating or making bad choices. By the end, and I listened and then I stopped and I said, you're not doing what you want to be doing. You are repressing what really wants to come out of you, which is you're an artist, but you're a nurse to make money because you didn't think you could make it as an artist, or someone
Mhm.
told you you could make it as an artist, or you haven't tried to make it as an artist, but your degree
Mhm.
is in art and you want to be doing art, but you're not.
You gave an example I wanna hit on, which is the learning. I actually had a client say to me, "I think I need to get another PhD before I can do this," and I almost threw my pen at the screen. I was like, "Seriously? No. No one except you thinks that you need another PhD. That is insanity. If you're 62 years old and you think that you need another certification to do something that you're already an expert in because you have a lifetime of experience doing something, you don't need another piece of paper that says you're qualified, or you don't need someone else to say this is okay. I mean, that's what that is. Another PhD, another certification, another class you take. It's hard to shed all of the schooling that means that you can only do the thing you want when someone else says it's okay.
It's because we're trained to look at degrees and someone's qualifications before we're looking at whether or not I resonate with you and whether or not you've lived it in your life. When I started to sort of become like, I outed myself as emotional coach. And so when I started taking people, I do a 2-session starter pack. By the second session, 9 out of 10 people every time would say, "Oh my God, I got so much more out of that than I have the 5 years I've been in therapy, the 7 years I've been in
Mhm.
therapy, the 10 years I've been in therapy." It happened so much, Allison. And I was like, all right, I need to hit this one. I'm going to claim you teach what you know, you teach what you've learned, you teach what you
Right.
applied, and someone's going to resonate with you or not. It's going to work or it's not going to work. And here I am 8 years later. I have a certification. I'm writing a book about core wounds, and I'm now an expert in rewiring core wound patterns. I claim it. I own it. I am not a therapist, but my clients will tell you that they've spent years in therapy. One client last year, 20 years in therapy, depressed, on depression medication, had breast cancer. She was a mess. Love her. Never would have chosen me had she not met me in person. 9 months with me was more effective than 20 years of therapy for her. It wasn't making her any better. It doesn't matter what your degree is. You still have to prove to somebody and be in resonance with them. They have to know, like, and trust you. Once they know, like, and trust you, they don't care what your degree is. They want to know what your
Yeah,
life experience is. And then, of course, when you are in your lane and you're living your zone of genius and your dharma, you have to be asked to grow in different ways. Your business and your book and your platform, you have to grow as a person to be able to expand and be in that bigger light, more abundance, more right energy coming in and out of your life.
exactly. Because aside from the fact that there's so much going on internally for people because things from the outside look successful, right? And because of that, we stay in that space for longer than we really want to, even when we know something's not right, because there's something going on internally. And then I want to pause for a second too, because if you're listening and thinking, wait, that's me, you're not alone. JJ's been there. I've been there. But that's also why we decided to create this masterclass because you're freaking brilliant. And if you're feeling this disconnect quietly and thinking you can't talk about it because you don't want to reveal to others that you feel disconnected, I've been there. JJ's been there. I think we've all been there where everything looks like candy and roses from the outside, but something just doesn't feel aligned anymore. And you feel like, I thought this was going to be like, feel like I had won the lottery, but I got here and I'm like, huh, it's not exactly. So if this conversation is resonating with you, we're going to go a lot deeper during the masterclass, especially around why this happens and what actually to do about it. And we'll link in the show notes and you can use the special code to grab your free VIP ticket. Now, JJ, what actually becomes possible when we stop ignoring that feeling and start listening to the call to be pulled to the next thing?
To add back to the first question about, because it links to, like, what are some of the indicators? And I said anxiety and I said thyroid issues, but it's also cancers. It's also stomach problems and digestive problems, feeling like you can't sleep because you're in denial. You're in denial about something that wants to emerge through you that doesn't have a pathway, it doesn't have an outlet, and we need to give it an outlet. So, what happens when you allow the outlet? What happens when you trust that and give it space is that you feel lighter. You start to heal. The body and the nervous system start to calm down. You get excited and inspired. You're in alignment. So then the universe can help you by, having you meet this person over here, have this opportunity open up over here. So when you get out of your own way and we stop with the fear and the trepidation and the catastrophizing and the second guessing, and we step into a place of trust and belief in ourselves and at least a willingness to be vulnerable and go through the process, because the caterpillar to the butterfly analogy, it's still hard for the caterpillar. It's gross. It's gooey. It's not fun. It isn't a smooth process. Right. And for those of you that are mothers, like having a child's not an easy process. It's gooey, it's gross, it's 9 months, it's your whole body, contorts. It's not about struggle, it's about growth. It's about expanding and it's about unlearning, quite honestly, unlearning some of the things and identifying some of the reasons why you're here in the first place. You made a lot of assumptions and interpretations and became beliefs, and those beliefs run your entire life. There are things to do that can help you understand what your zone of genius, your dharma, your passion, your purpose is. There are clues all over your life. It seems scary for us because we don't want to be, as women, we have this idea that we're supposed to always be liked and that everyone's supposed to always say nice things to us. And we haven't built enough resilience and inner confidence, like real inner confidence, so that you can allow someone else to have an opinion and it not affect you. Because if you were to say to me, JJ, you seem kind of like, like passionless, like you're like lazy. If you said that to me, I would laugh because
Right.
I know that's not true. The
Yeah.
only reason why I ever get triggered or anyone ever gets triggered is because the other person is saying something that you secretly agree with. So we have to heal that in order for you to be able to listen or go, okay, cool. That isn't really about you. You're a mirror for me right now. So we
Mhm.
hide because we don't want to get triggered. We don't want to have people criticize us. So we stay small so that we can stay safe, but it doesn't actually keep us safe. It keeps us repressed and it keeps us depressed.
So true. If I had a nickel for every time I hear, I don't want people to think that. That's the quote is when I'm like, okay, we're going to zhuzh your marketing. We're going to nail your positioning because we want people to have access to your genius. But that means you have to step out of the shadows. You can't be the stage manager and be on stage. You can't be toiling and also be the one owning the spotlight. But the number one thing I hear is, I don't want people to think that it doesn't matter, fill in the blank. I don't want people to think I'm so proud. I don't want people to think that I'm doing something different. I don't want people to question, like, I don't want people to think is no one's thinking about you. But that is fear that has been layered on top and shellacked until you think that someone else gets to decide things for you. And it's just fear. Aside from saying you can't move forward unless you're able to stand up and walk forward, there is something to realizing that if you want to do something more or else, you have to be okay being visible doing it. Your client, who's a nurse, but also an artist, has to be able to claim publicly, I'm an artist.
Mhm, mhm.
That is hard for the people I work with who are experts in their field, maybe an executive leadership coach who now wants to write a book. You have to be able to say, I'm an author. And sometimes the thing we want more than anything is the hardest thing to claim because we're looking around thinking someone's going to say no. No one is saying no.
Well, okay, but let's take the scenario that maybe someone will say no. Who
Right?
cares? Here's a
Yeah.
fact. Here's a fact. You are not for everyone. Period. You are not for everyone. So why are you hiding? Because the people that are looking for you can't find you because you're hiding from the ones who aren't for you. Anytime, no matter how big or small you are, 10% of the people will love you no matter what you do. And on the flip side, 10% will hate you, no matter what you do. So are you going to hide from the 10% that are going to love you and then the 80% that need you, or at least 50% of people that possibly really, really need what you have? What motivates me to keep going for what I do is how people's lives change with what I do. And knowing that this week, Sunday, I got an email from someone who saw me being interviewed by Dr. William Davis on YouTube. And she emailed me on Sunday. So I just found you on YouTube and I want to do your program. I don't even know what it is, but I need to do your program. So I said, fill out this application. And on Monday, I said, I actually could meet you today. She said, yes, please. And thank you, all capital letters. We had a call. She said, how soon can I start? I said, hold on, go listen to a few more episodes first, just to make sure like that you really know, like, and trust me and you're ready
Right.
for this. In an hour, she said, okay, what do I pay? In an hour. Okay. Because she was looking for what I do, and if she hadn't found me, I mean, she felt so much relief in being able to go, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, this is exactly what I need." Remember that you prevent people from growing based on your zone of genius and your genius and what you have to offer when you're hiding from the 10% that are gonna hate you. And even when you get your first hater, if you haven't gotten one already, I say celebrate it. Celebrate it because it means you're getting bigger. "Oh my god, someone hates me."
So good.
Because you
Yeah.
have to know. Because 'cause I've had that with my show. You have to know that if they're hating you and you don't know them, it isn't about you. It's not about you anyway, but it's not about you. Like if I'm recording a podcast and someone has an issue with what I'm saying and they get all mad at me, which it has happened all the time, I'm like, I don't know you. Like I wasn't talking about you. I don't even know you. How could I personally offend you? It's not. They're triggered because of their wounds. And what I'm saying is really triggering their wounds, which is kind of my role. I am a catalyst, so I'm not sorry. But I want you to really think about, as a woman, how are you providing who you're here to serve and the gifts and talents and the information that you have for people? If you're hiding from the 10% who may not like you, just accept it and move on, because more haters means you're bigger. It means you are reaching a wider audience.
Yeah.
So I'm committed to the change. I'm committed to what happens when people feel free, when they truly love themselves, when they are their own advocates, when they can stand up and love who they are, no matter what anyone else around you is saying. And ultimately,
Mhm.
that's the work.
That is absolutely the work. And it's okay to say, I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to change. So, for example, when I left my big, comfy corporate office, which was nice actually, but wasn't fulfilling anymore because I had reached the top of that mountain. And I started a Facebook community. It got really popular really fast. And then 2 years later, I was like, this is sucking the life out of me. It was so much administration and hosting and, hosting events. And then the people who were there, some of them became clients and some of them came for free stuff all the time. That was okay, but it was still finite because you had to join the Facebook group. So I read the book 10x is easier than 2x. Genius. And the next day, I archived the Facebook group and I started my podcast, The Author's Edge, because I knew I could reach more people because I had outgrown my cocoon, to use the butterfly metaphor that you so generously threw out there, because it was time to go bigger. And did I do it right away? No. I have been thinking about this podcast for 2 years. And I thought about all of the obstacles that I could think of to keep me, because I'm afraid of technology and I deleted my website twice by accident. True story. And like technology makes my brain shut down. And I had a client who finally said, Allison, if I can do it, you can do it. Open a screen and let's just start it. And it was a Tuesday. And by Thursday, I had episodes recorded. And sometimes it does take someone who you trust to say, we're going to walk through this door together. And JJ, that is what you do. That is what I do. And I know this because my clients then say, I can't believe it took me this long to find you, but I'm so glad I'm here now. You make everything easy. And I think, well, I don't want to do it if it's not easy. If it's
Right.
hard, God, nobody wants to do something that's hard. So we have to make this easy. We have to make it so that people can get unstuck and that women can then get themselves unstuck and move through it. I'm so excited. We're doing this masterclass on April 10th, and that people can find you and find me and know that we're here for them.
I just want to mention one thing about the easy aspect. Yes, people want it to be easy. When you're in alignment, things are easy. And as a former personal trainer, most of us understand that if you want to train for a triathlon or a marathon or whatever, you have to do a training regimen. You have to get stronger. So,
Right.
but you may not look at that as hard. It might be hard physically, but you buy into it being hard because you understand what's on the other side of it. You get stronger, which means it gets easier to do these activities. Well, the same thing has to apply for our emotions. When we're in an emotional healing state or growing into the next level of who we are, the concept is easy. You understand it. When you understand the small stretches that then all of a sudden your nervous system changes. All of a sudden the fears that you've been holding on for 10 years disappear because you
Mhm.
did this one thing that was so stupid that made you cry and made you freak out. And then you did it and your brain went, I'm not going to die. Oh, okay. That was easy. And now that's no longer a barrier.
I'm not saying that I have an easy button and what you want to achieve. I have clients who New York Times bestseller, USA Today bestseller, this book back here, Duct Tape and White Lies, USA Today, LA Times bestseller inside of 1 week, with a woman with no platform. This book is like flying. And what was hard for her was, what do I need to do? I don't know anything about publishing. Tell me which way to go. If you want to run a marathon, you don't start training the day before. That would be too hard. You do it in little bits. And you make sure that you don't take a left when you need to go straight. That's the hard part, is knowing that you spent all that time on a detour or doing some special detox when maybe JJ would tell you, that's a waste of time. You don't need to do that. What we need to do is be consistent and have a focus and know that we have a plan and we're not going to deviate from that plan. That's the easy part. When the path becomes clearer, that
Yes.
becomes easy.
Yes.
Hard is trying to rush and eat the whole elephant in one sitting. Nobody can do that. That
Or not
sucks.
having a plan. That's what most people
Right.
do. They
Not
don't have a
having a plan.
plan. They don't even know
Exactly.
what they're treating. I have a course called The Roadmap to Emotional Healing. I put that together because everyone's trying to do the same thing and they'd go in not knowing. It's like with exercise. All people go in, they used to do Pilates and yoga and wonder why they're not losing 100 pounds. I'm like, because those two things are not designed to either build metabolism or burn calories. So you're doing the wrong exercise. Yes, they're good exercises for joints, for stability, for core strength, blah, blah, blah. They're a good addition to a program. But if that's all, if you're doing hatha yoga 3 times a week and wondering why you're not 5 sizes less, it's because you're choosing the wrong exercise. You're having expectations about what you're doing that don't match what they actually provide. And most people don't have a
Right.
strategy. And you've got no plan and no strategy, just like with marketing and with visibility, then you don't know what you're achieving. You can't tell if it's working or not because you had no strategy. You don't know what you're testing. So all of the together, whether it be in business, whether it be in personal, whether it be in your life, whether it be in your physicality, you need a structure, you need a strategy. You have to understand all the components that work. But once you understand the plan, then the plan is easy and you have clarity and you feel like, oh my God, it's working. Finally, something is working because I was so confused. I would try so many things and I wasn't clear as to what I was supposed to be getting from them.
Exactly. And so what we're going to do with this masterclass, what we offer on April 10th is getting clear about why brilliant women stay invisible and what you can do about it. Because you don't need to stay in the spot where you feel the lament and the anxiety and the exhaustion, because you feel tight. If you're feeling like that, just know we've been there and we get you and we see what you can be. But you get to choose. That's the thing. We might see like, oh, there's growth happening here, but you get to choose where it is you end up. But only you can make that decision. I mean, I'd love to decide for everyone, but like, I can't live your life. Or like, mine is enough, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, JJ, thank you so much. We'll have the link to the masterclass in the show notes. But just so we have it, it's at jjflizanes.com. And then there's a
Forward slash
URL.
brilliant women.
Yeah, jjflizanes.com/brilliant women. And then, yep, use the code. The free code is in the show notes. And this is good. I'm glad we're doing this.
Me
People don't
too.
talk about this enough, about all of us overachievers out there toiling. Not necessary.
No, in the world that you and I are talking about in terms of like business women, which for my show, as you guys know, this applies to all aspects of your life. So maybe you are in a career, that's why I said a couple people in my group right now, one person in particular who loved her job last year, this week was like, I want to quit my job. I don't think I should
Mhm.
be doing this. I was like, okay. So I know that this is going to hit a lot of people or someone else who's going to retire in the next 3 years. She's like, okay, what's next for me after that? Because I know I'm going to want to do something different with my time and my energy and my zone of genius. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody on April 10th. Please, please join us. For those of you that are listening who are in my world, Allison, why don't you tell them a little bit about just what you help people do? I know you've mentioned it throughout today's podcast. We're talking to mostly your audience, but let my people know what you do and what you help people with.
Yep. Well, thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. What I help women do is figure out how to take their message bigger and become public authorities. Because we know you're already a leader in your field. We know you're already a thought leader. Everyone in your circle already thinks you're a big effing deal. You've already spoken at industry conferences. But what I help women do who want to go bigger is go beyond their silo. If you want to write a mass market book or you want to launch a podcast that reaches middle America outside of your industry, you have to think bigger and you have to let go of the frameworks of approval that work inside of your industry. In order to get papers published when you're a PhD, everything is peer reviewed. But you want to go mass market, nothing's peer reviewed. You don't need to cite all of your sources for you to have an opinion and start sharing it, to start writing it, to get a book deal. You need to show that you're an authority, and that takes a marketing plan about you. And as someone who led PR and marketing for Burt's Bees and The Body Shop and Unilever and Pepsi, I can tell you that the challenge isn't talent. You have talent in spades. It's that you don't have a strategy to go bigger. And that's what I do. And you can see
Beautiful.
behind me, bestseller, ADHD for Smartass Women, bestseller, Duct Tape and White Lies, bestseller, I don't know if you could see it, but The Widow's Guide to Dead Bastards, debuts, all of them.
Nice.
There's first books. So this is possible. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, join us on April 10th, everybody. jjflizanes.com/brilliant women. And you can get the code in the show notes. And thanks, Allison.